have done this part is to test the migration properties of this fragment. Because the idea is when you have a wound is to close the wound. So she developed a specific model. What you see is keratinocytes in whales, and she made like a wound. She called it scratch assay. And then you will see on the left the control. We did not add anything, and on the other side, on the right, we add the fragment, the Cebelia fragment. And it was the video lasts 48 hours. It is accelerated, and we will show the difference. So you see the wound closure. On the right, it is really accelerated. At the end of the 48 hours, you still have a little more, but very little. So it means that the fragment is able to accelerate the migration of the keratinocytes. So that's what we patented. That this small peptide, the small active fragment, is able to replace protein. What is interesting in that case is that we have a small sequence, only 12 amino acids. The weight is 1.4 kilodalton. Remember, the big protein was 500 kilodalton. So we have reduced it. It's very stable, which means that during the time, it will still be effective. And very easy to formulate because it is water soluble, which is very interesting because cream are always made with water and oil. So that's why we decided to include these active fragments in part of the range, one part on healing and one part on the anti-aging process. Do you have any question about the... No? That's very clear. What is very important is that we can say that it replaces the protein. Usually in cosmetics, the ingredients they say we stimulate, we are well known for, but here we have proof that it is really replacing the protein, which is interesting for you, doctor. So now the second patent, the dependent one. So the idea, I work in that case with the other French research institutes, Professor Horton and Dr. Valotti. They are specialized in hyperpigmentation. And as you may know, most of the products are targeting tyrosinase because a very famous ingredient, hydroquinone, was inhibiting tyrosinase. So in cosmetics, maybe you will find such ingredients. So with Professor Horton, we decided to work a step earlier on the PK protein, which is the protein kinase A, and which is inducing the activity of the tyrosinase. And we selected different PK inhibitors. And we found one that we called pecalin, because of PK, which is inhibiting the PK protein, but which was much more effective than the other ingredients. And we were wondering why this ingredient was very effective. It was even more interesting that this ingredient, when we tested it on tyrosinase, was not directly effective on the tyrosinase, but it was effective. And we made in that unit a very interesting work on the pH of the melanosome. Because as you know, the melanosome is really the place where the melanin is mature. And what they found is that the pH has a great impact on the maturation of the melanosome, not of the melanosome, the maturation of the melanin. And in that case, the pecalin was acidifying the pH inside the melanosome, and thus was disturbing the melanin maturation. So So the melanin stayed at the first step of his maturation and was less colored than it should be. That's why this ingredient was so effective. And that's what we patented, this double action, before on PK protein and then in the melanosome. I will just show you one result here, in two results. In vitro, in order to see how it was effective. On the left, the purple one, we have taken melanocytes that we have induced with phospholin. Phospholin is like inducing the melanocyte with the sun. And you see that when we induce pigmentation with phospholin, we multiply by 4 the melanin content of the melanocytes. When we add pecalin, we divide by 6 the melanin content. So it means that we are able to induce pigmentation. Then on the gray, we wanted to see what was happening on existing pigmentation. So we took melanoma cells, because they are very dark, and we add pecalin, and we see that we were able to reduce by 2 the color of the existing pigmentation of the melanoma cells. You see some picture on the right. So it's interesting because we are working on both induced and existing pigmentation. For the pH, I will try to explain because it's very chemical and for me it's complicated, but I'm sure that you will understand better than me. So, to understand the role of the pH, we have labeled in green, it's the upper picture, the base, which is called DEM, and which is accumulating in acidic compartment of the melanosome. Okay? So, on the control, you see, we have here, it's green, because it's acidic. Okay. When we induce with phospholin, the pH is increasing, we have less green, and it means that due to the sun induction, the melanin is being processed. Okay? And when we induce sun and we add pecalin, we see that we are able to be more green, which means that we are more acid, and that we are stopping the development of the melanin. Is that clear? And on the same time, we label also tier 1, which is a sign of mature melanosome, and that's red. Okay. So you see that on the control there is no sun, and it's not mature. There is no mature melanosome, no mature melanin. When we induce with phospholin, you see that we have plenty of mature melanosome. And on the same time, when we do it with inducing the sun reaction and adding pecalin, we are able to reduce the maturation of the melanosome. So that's how they prove the importance of this acidity inside the melanosome. I don't know if I'm clear.
Yeah.
And this work is very interesting and has been published because it's a new approach in the implementation.
So you can use Cebelia as only treatment for melasma?
Yeah, for melasma it's good, for PIH, for all kind of brown spots.
Just that one. I mean, just Cebelia, or we can just combine with another.
Sorry, yeah, you can use it alone or in association. I will show you some picture. Yeah, you can combine with your treatment, of course. It's a good idea because it's only a cosmetic, so it will help, but it's not magical.
You can use it at day, at night, or just at night?
It depends. It depends. First of all, on the. It's better to use it twice a day. But sometimes, because in the product, I'll show you. the product that is on the market, the reinforced depigmenting, we have decided to have a global approach on the melanogenesis process. So we have becalin or ingredients with reacting with PKR and inside the melanosome, but we also add vitamin C to inhibit the tyrosinase, vitamin B to inhibit the transfer of the melanosome, and glycolic acid to exfoliate existing brown spots. So it's a complete product. So the idea is to use it twice a day, but first of all, on sensitive skin, maybe you should start only at night, and then after a few weeks you can do it twice a day. And when it's very, very sunny, even though you use sunscreen here, especially here, maybe it's better to use it only at night. So it really depends on the skin and on the weather condition. And for example, if you use it after a laser, as it contains glycolic acid, you would have to wait 1 week maybe before using it.
And more because of the glycolic acid, no?
Sorry?
I use it at night.
Yeah.
Always, taking for Narca. And I'm looking for the ingredients, so I think because of the glycolic acid, it's like more irritant, no?
Yeah,
to use it in the morning.
It could be.
Because with vitamin C, no problem. Niacinamide, no problem in the morning.
Becalin,
no problem in the morning. But glycolic acid in the morning.
Yeah, here it's very sunny.
Yeah.
In Europe, we use it twice a day very easily.
And your prototype is different.
Yeah.
Okay, we have like 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. Correct. So maybe I will go on with the depigmenting range. There is an example on the dark skin. She used it twice a day. It's in New Caledonia. I don't know if you know, it's a French island in the Pacific, so it's maybe like here. She used it twice a day with sunscreen. And in that case, you see the result only after 1 month. So we were able to decrease the melasma and also to even the complexion. So do you see? So, and you can use it also in association. So in that case, the doctor has done first 1 month of pigment trio, then the peeling, and then 1 month of Cebelia. So you see it's not perfect, but we have good results. It is really decreasing, and what is interesting is that it is also unifying the whole face. For you it's interesting because it's a dark phototype, that's why I took that picture for you.
Yeah. That's a kind of skin we have here.
Yeah. So it's not Caucasian as we have in Europe. Here are some results on Caucasian skin, but it's mostly brown spots due to sun, of course. So you see that we are really decreasing the pigmentation, and as recently it was only with the depigmenting product, without any other treatment. This is another example. In Indonesia, so it's a specific Asian type because it's Asia, but it's in the south. And it's very sunny, so they have also dark skin. So it's a mix of Asia and dark skin. So sometimes the doctor, they use it only at night, and sometimes twice a day. It really depends on the patient also. I would like to present you now eye area, because we have developed 2 products. Depending on the cancer, we could have vascular or pigmented circles. So we have 2 products to answer those 2 needs in the skin. The first one is, maybe you you know it already. It's LC regard. The idea came from LC ban. LC ban was used after blepharoplasty by a lot of plastic surgeons, and they noticed that it was really improving the bags and the dark circle, the vascular dark circles. So what we have done, we have taken exactly the same ingredients, same concentration, and we have added pigments to cover the dark circle. So it is both treating and covering. So what you can do if you have vascular circles, you use the LC regard during the day and the LC bar at night, because you don't need the pigment during the night. And then, for the pigmented circles, we developed the eye brightening, but it's a very easy formulation because we took exactly the same ingredient as the reinforced pigmenting, and we removed the glycolic acid, and we adapted a little the formulation to be more nice for the eyes area, and also it's in a small applicator with a metal tip, which is also very nice, very fresh for the eye area.
For example, some of my patients use it in the morning and at night and refer some dry skin like
with that one?
Yeah, I don't know why, because the ingredients are not, but sometimes they prefer like dry skin.
And they have a dry skin?
No. And I use it like more in mature or the kind of las ojeras.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
Because it's an emulsion, so it's oil and water emulsion, so it brings also hydration to the skin. So it's I don't know, because
I'm going to like take a picture.
Yeah, with pleasure. Yeah. And on the pigmented circles, do they have good results?
Yes, I like a lot for the pigmentation.
So maybe what you can do if it's really dry is to ask them to apply something, an eye contour cream.
When they prefer that, I use it maybe in the morning, this, and at night,
hydrate. But I will check the rest of the formula to understand why it would be.
No se pondrán mucho, porque luego se ponen mucho, pero sí se les da cosas como ese papa. Ya les cambió. A lo mejor sí se ponen mucho, porque maybe they use a lot of quantity, a lot of the product, probably. Because we say a little bit of it, and then put it at half of the bottle.
Maybe.
To be.
Yeah.
No, entonces,
it's a good explanation.
most of the time I say it by night and in the morning. Another time of cream because they put it a lot. That's
I will think. Yeah, I will remind that because
that's true.
Yeah.
You say a little bit of it and then they put it the whole bottle.
Yeah, because they think it will be more effective, but it's not the case.
They think more is better.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. So these are some examples of the result on dark skin. Here is a Jordan guy. Here it was in Chile, closer than here. And here it was also in Chile. You see that the black was back to here and it went up. I don't know if you see. Of course, with all those depigmenting products, but you know if you're a dermatologist, people need to be very regular to apply sunscreen, etc., etc. If not, you don't have results. So, if you have vascular concern, you use the LC regard during the day and LC bar at night. And I don't know if you know, we have a cleansing milk in order to remove makeup, and also could also remove the eye makeup if it is not waterproof. And if you have pigmented circles, you will prefer the eye brightening. You can also use LC regard, which will also cover pigmented circles. And at night, eye brightening, and you can also use the cleansing gel. Do you have any question on those two products? The LC regard on dry skin could dry the skin because of the pigments.
No.
So it was not the LC regard.
No, I use just for the eye and day brightening.
Okay. Okay. So I would like to also to present you I guess that you know already the NC balm because it was our first product launch here and it's one of our key products. So do you remember LC balm is containing the laminin 5 extract, but it's also anti-bruise and anti-edema. So it's the only product in the market who has both activities. And I don't know if you have in mind, but we made a test, a clinical test against arnica. Against a product containing 4% arnica, and we have exactly the same results. So LC-BAM is very interesting because it's a 2-in-1. And another thing about LC-BAM is that it's a silicone gel, but a non-occlusive one. So it's only 33% of silicone, which means that you can apply it directly after the surgery on the wound, because it allows the gas exchanges during the healing process, which is not the case with other healing products on the market. So the LC balm will be mainly focused on surgery, and also it's very useful after injection. When you inject in the lips and in the eye, you could have some bruise. I don't know if you do a thread lift, but sometimes you have bruise. It's also a good indication. I don't know if you use the plasma technology to do that. Yeah. So you can use the balm after that. It's really nice. So all kind of indication about bruising, edema, lips, eye, and of course surgery. The best indication in surgery is blepharoplasty. And I would like to focus on the extreme care, which is maybe more new for you. I don't know if you know it.
Very good.
So extreme care, the idea of extreme care is that it will be really calming the skin. So the indication is whenever you have redness, itching, irritation, inflammation. So as you understand, it's mainly after laser, even CO2 laser, microneedling, peeling, radiofrequency. So what we have done, we have really done a cocktail to soothe the skin. We have first the nopal, which is refreshing the skin. So it's not the whole nopal, it's an extract of the nopal. We have a neuropeptide, which has this anti-inflammatory effect. We have a Cebelia patent because, for example, after laser you could have an abrasion, so it will help to repair. And we also added the sea plant extract to induce urea, because after laser sometimes the skin is dehydrated. So this is really a complete product in order to soothe and calm the skin. And another thing very important is the emulsion. As I told you, we work always on the formulation itself. The balm is a silicone gel because of dressing. In that case, we think about the burned skin. And we wanted a product which spread very easily on the skin. So we made what we call a quick break emulsion. It means that the emulsion is fragile, and when it will come on the skin, the oil and the water will separate immediately, and it will spread very easily. And it gives also this impression of freshness. So it's very interesting when the skin is burned because it's much more easy to apply.
Topic dermatitis.
Okay. just in there. Here.
Here, because it could be like this, no? And just in the areas where the each is very important, and then you said that I combine it sometimes with other type of thing. But in that song only, without pradera, for example, I use it just like this. It's good for kids. It's very useful.
There is no other fragrance, so it's very much
Yes. And it doesn't burn. Most of the time the kids say it burns, but this cream is not burning. So I use it for very
You can use it also on rosacea. A lot of dermatologists come to us and told us that it was very good on rosacea. So these are some results. So it was done by the dermatologists in Taiwan after a pico laser. So they applied the product immediately. So these are the results immediately. And we were regarding the redness, skin temperature, skin sensitivity, dryness, and edema. So the result just immediately after applying, after the procedure, and then 2 days later, you see that we improved the results. So the patients applied as a mask in the clinic, and then at home as much as they needed. And to show you, here it's a man who had a peeling, and with, as you see, a very sensitive skin, for the type 1 or maybe more. And here so he made a peeling. Here the dermatologist applied competitor, and here the extreme care as a mask. So in that case, a very thick layer that we left for 15 minutes. And at the end of the 15 minutes, if there is still some product, we remove it. And we took the picture. So I don't have to speak, the result is obvious. And then another one, it's an nervium laser. And in that case, what is interesting is that we asked the woman what was her eating sensation. And we asked her to note on a scale of 10. And what she said is that here, without the product, the feeling was 7 to 8, and here the feeling was 3 to 4. So even 15 minutes later, we already have an impact on the temperature. So I didn't put the clinical trial here, but we have also a clinical trial specifically on the impact on the temperature of the skin. And we can reduce it by almost 80% after 2 days. So this is after a microneedling. Another microneedling. And these are examples of rosacea in China. So you see the results. But in China it's very polluted, so they have a lot of irritation, allergy. They call it atopic dermatitis, but it's not atopic dermatitis. It's a mix of something strange. And so they use it as you on the face, and they have great results. Another one.
Good to know, doctor, because I have here, I always get itchy, so I'm gonna try extreme care here. I'll tell you.
I don't know if you have any question about this product. So it's clear for you the difference between the LC balm and the extreme care. So now we have already done the pigmentation products. I don't know if you have any question on the product that you are already using, or if you want to exchange about any interesting topic. No, it's clear. Maybe you can say what you have in the bag.
Entonces, les trajimos un kit. Adentro van a encontrar el Extreme Care para que ustedes puedan testar los productos con sus pacientes o con ustedes. También les trajimos unos sachets del bálsamo. Estos sachets les van a funcionar mucho con sus pacientes para que puedan probar el producto y ya después si quieren comprarlo. Y lo que me comenta Carole es que, digo, no les traje el tamaño normal, es muy chiquitito, exacto, y normalmente nos llegan objeciones como de, ay, pero está muy chiquito, no me va a alcanzar el producto y demás. Como el producto es de silicón, en realidad no necesitas, la textura de silicón no necesitas mucho producto, porque al aplicar poquita cantidad puedes cubrir mucha área y además necesitas una capa muy finita para las heridas. Entonces, han hecho pruebas y con 1 mililitro puedes cubrir todo el rostro. Entonces, en realidad 15 mililitros sí son efectivos para reparar una herida, la piel y demás. Y por último van a encontrar el despigmentante reforzado, también para que ustedes puedan probarlo, la sensibilidad, la tolerabilidad que les pueda dar el producto. Y también, ¿este es tu baño? Sí, ¿me lo prestas? Mil gracias. Rápidamente les explico el librito que les dimos. Es el vademecum de la marca, entonces van a encontrar un poquito de la historia de cómo nació Cebelia. Aquí van a encontrar la geografía y los 9 SKUs que tenemos actualmente. Y posteriormente las patentes explicadas, la de reparación de la piel y la de despigmentación, van a encontrar el detalle de cada uno de los productos con los ingredientes activos que tiene. Y lo que les puede ser de más ayuda es, al final, aquí les pongo una parte de Cebelia, cómo pueden recomendarlo para uso en casa. Y posteriormente las recomendaciones que les damos después para los protocolos. Por ejemplo, si ustedes hacen un láser CO2 fraccionado, el Extreme Care es el que les va a ayudar completamente a reparar la piel. Eso es todo lo que tenemos aquí en el vademecum. Chiquito pero bastante completo. Y cualquier duda que tengan, pregunta, comentario, me pueden buscar a mí directamente o, claro, a sus agentes de ventas. I don't know, Carole, if you would like to, if you have it, about the soothing milk. I think it's like a great opportunity. Recientemente lanzamos aquí en México una leche limpiadora y una leche calmante. Carole nos va a hacer el favor de platicarles de la leche calmante porque tenemos todavía unos minutitos para robarles. Creo que puede ser muy interesante para ustedes este producto.
As you see it, sorry, my voice is not very strong. The soothing milk looks like a classical body milk, and it has some of the properties of the classical body milk because it is moisturizing and it brings also lipid to the skin. The main ingredient is a sweet almond oil, which is very well tolerated. I don't know if it's the case here, but in Europe we use it on babies, so we know that it's very well tolerated. But we have also added soothing ingredients, linden blossom extract, isabolol, chamomile, and allantoin, in order to also, the idea was to soothe the itching. And we made a few tests. The first test that we made on itching was in a public hospital in France on old people because they itch a lot. So they were using the product once a day after the toilet, and they used it for 1 month, and we were able to see that we reduced the itching lesion by 80% in those people just once a day after the toilet. So it was very interesting. And then we made another one where we were really focusing on this itching indication. So it was done by dermatologists in their clinic. So that's why we have a big number of patients, 161. And we see that for 50% of the people, we have really a disappearance of the lesion. And for the 49 or other, a reduction. So it's really an interesting product to be used when you have itching problems. But I must say that there is a problem. So what do the French dermatologists when they have an atopic dermatitis? Either they use the extreme care, either they test the soothing milk here to see if there is a reaction. If not, they will use it, because what is interesting also, it brings lipid to the skin much more than the extreme care. So sometimes it could be interesting also to associate these products. And it's a big bottle, it's 290 ml. Almost 300. You have to remove the stories. At the beginning it was 300 ml, and as the product is a little thick, the pump was not efficient enough, so we had to enlarge the pump, and so we have to remove 10 ml of the product.
Great.
I really thank you for your presence and for your question, and all your new cases. That's very interesting. Thank you very much. And thank you for allowing me to speak English.
No, thank you for the information, because to know like the biochemic, the ingredients and how they work, it's like very interesting. So I like it. Thanks so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Very useful.
And thank you for the team.